This is the look, Equity, Community Affairs, House and Health and Education Committee. I am the chair, Councilwoman Barbara Shanklin. My vice chair has excused absence. Councilwoman Hawkins should be here shortly. Councilman Dan Syme is here. Councilman Marcus Winkler is here, and Councilwoman Jenny Warwick is here. Okay. Before we start, we're going to do a moment of silence, if you don't mind, for the plane crash and victims that were lost. So we're going to do a moment of silence. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to do number 2 first, if you don't mind. So Councilman Ken Harrington, and of course, Councilman Harrington is here with us today for a short time. Okay.
Item 2, a resolution honoring Mary Lee and George Fisher by rededicating the corner of East Witherspoon Street and North Floyd Street as Mary Lee and George Fisher Way in their honor. Read in full.
Motion.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Councilman Harrington.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. Just long before Greg Fisher was mayor, many decades before, his parents, George and Mary Lee, were pillars of our community and great benefactors for us all. A few years ago, when Mr. Fisher passed away, there was an honorary sign put up in his honor. But unfortunately, a few months ago, Mary Lee passed as well, and this is just to update that honorary street sign to honor them both in the same location.
So both of them have passed now? Both of them? I knew his
Yes.
father did. Okay, thank you. Any questions, concerns, or anything from any of the council people? Hearing none, we're going to send it to, you want to? That's what I'm getting at. Oh, we got to vote. We're going to vote on it. All in favor? No one's against it? So we'll send it to the consent. You want to send it to the consent? Or, okay, thank you. The next thing on the agenda is we have special discussion with codes and regulation. You want to introduce yourself so they can put it on the agenda?
Yes, I am Director Richard Price, Codes and Regulations for Louisville Metro Government. I do want to say that I do have with me Assistant Director Phil Crow.
Okay.
And Assistant Director Odell Henderson that also will be available to answer any questions if I can.
Right. I'm going to ask you this. Do you have a long presentation, or is it just?
No, ma'am. It's just 5 slides that,
okay,
I can get through pretty quickly and take some questions.
No, I just wanted to know if it's long slides or, Okay, so you can go ahead with your presentation, please.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you all for having us. We are so excited to be before you today to give you a little update on codes and regulations. Let's see.
It's been a year. I looked at my calendar, and it was October of last year when we had you guys here.
Okay.
So it's been a good year, opportunity to get a whole lot done.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of my team that we have gotten some things done. Again, when I was with you before, one of my goals is to move us from being a reactive code and regulations department to a proactive, data-driven code and regulations department. As you look at our mission, our vision, I don't want to miss that particularly our vision is to set the standard in code and regulations industry and be a forward-thinking, efficient, and trusted code and regs department, promoting safety and supporting growth, and then more importantly, fostering community trust. That's huge. And with that being said, when you look at just some data numbers that I think is relevant, that I'm very proud of, total inspections, when you look at the year's comparison from when I was with you to, and this takes us, I think, from September of this year, Our total inspections was up 24%. Very proud that we say with life safety, emergencies and such, we up 110%, 40% up in citations. Notices of violations, 28%, and that is significant to me because when you look at, we had 28,167 notices of violation, which essentially says, hey, you got to fix this. And then when people don't fix that, then we move on to the citation part of it, which is, we had 28,000, we issued 28,000 notices of violation, but it was only required to issue a little short of 9,000 citations. Now, that does not mean that we got maybe 100% what we wanted, but we did get our that did not lead to that citation. And then one of the things that was very important is response time. Our response time is down from 5 days to roughly around 3 days, and that is 37%. So when we look at these numbers, yes, we're making progress. We are focusing on the data, what the data say, that's going to make determination of where we go and how we resolve some of these property maintenance issues. Another thing that we have been working hard with is working with the LMPD, Louisville Metro Police Department, sustained focus initiatives. The data shows, and particularly Detroit, Cleveland, and Ohio, they have data that shows that when there's a close correlation with violent crime and property maintenance issues. There is absolutely, in fact, it states, I think I've said this before, that when you take care of property maintenance issues, you manage vacant abandoned properties, you reduce the graffiti, and you take out the nuisance, it reduced violent crime by 30%. So we are in it with LMPD, and this is some of the numbers that they have in their dashboard as when we look at from Q1, Q2, and Q3 of this year. Graffiti abatement, we have stepped up 8%. Now, the property boardings were down to 12% based on quarters of last year, but don't look at that in a horrible way that we was down. It's, we had cut a lot of grass, done a lot of other things, and the overall numbers may have showed that, but I'm very confident that we still on the right track of stepping it up with our boardings. Our property cleaning is up 13%, public news up 9%, and emergency demolitions. All of these things add to violent crime, and my team has done a phenomenal job of trying to abate this. One of the biggest threats to public safety from a code and regulations department right here, right now, no question, is the vacant and abandoned properties. When we got to get these things managed. And we have identified 1,775 that we know of. We know it's way more than that, probably about roughly between 5,000 and 6,000 vacant and abandoned properties. We're going to make the concerted effort to identify every vacant and abandoned property, ensure that they are secured and remain secured. And we do that by clearboarding. We got this process where we take the plexiglass. We've done a pilot that shows that when we apply the plexiglass instead of the plywood, people do not, we have less breaches. People tend to not get back in it. So since 2024, we have clearboarded 805 properties. Again, we have probably identified more. There's more on the list. This is just a recent data, but we're proud about what we're doing with vacant abandoned properties to resolve some of the major issues with fire, crime, and so on and so forth. And then what I'm most proud of, too, is our community engagement. Again, we're trying to foster community trust. And when I say foster community trust, I'm talking about being a partner with individuals in the community by going out there, being in it, taking every invite, coming to every town hall, every neighborhood association request. When we get events like the state fair and other events around the city, we're showing up, with our material, with educational material, talking to people and educating them about property maintenance issues. So you can see, you know, from 24 to 25, we have attended 33 town hall engagements and 20 community events. And these are, a lot of times, you know, we find a lot of these community events ourselves. You know, we don't necessarily get invited, but we look for them, find them, and we go out there in it. Some of them we do get invited, but the town halls you know about. So, and that really completes the presentation part. But I'm very proud of what we're doing, the work that we're doing. We're nowhere near where we need to be, for sure. We still got a lot to do. There's some things that we may have missed, but I'm proud at the effort and pushing forward of my team. And with that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Okay, I guess I'll get started because I got a lot of complaints. I hate
Okay.
to tell you that.
You have a lot of, I'm sorry, you have a lot of what?
Complaints.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate to tell you that, but in the last year, my community has gone downhill. My community has gone downhill. It
Okay.
didn't, after we met and all of that, and I know you rode my district, but every September we get a new group of people, right? They change. So when you get a new group of people, some of them do well, some of them don't. Just yesterday, I had to call Damon Smiley, and I told him I had a couch, a white plastic couch sitting on the street 2 weeks now. And I called and turned it in. I did have the wrong address, but I'd be darned if they rode down the street and just left it sitting there. So we called, I had Caleb call back and say the couch is still there. It's been going on 2 weeks. And they said, well, we didn't see that address number. Well, it was right about 3 houses down, but the couch is sitting there. So I sent an email right back and said, well, whoever you sent was blind, because there's no way they can go down that street and not see their couch sitting there.
Yeah.
And so I called him back again, told Mr. Smiley. He said, well, that wasn't the right address. And true, this morning the couch was still sitting there. They said, well, we went back and talked to the guy, and the couch is still there. On my way down here, this is right down the street from my house, I looked to see where the couch was, and he was moving the couch back to the driveway. The backyard is full of junk, and I have called on in this house, this same house, I don't know how many times.
Okay.
He has all kind of stuff they sell, but today, it ain't nothing but trash in that couch and a chair sitting in the middle of the front yard. Now, my concern is, they go past these things and they don't notice them and they don't stop, because the last time we talked, I said, when you see, if they're out there and they see this, can't they cite them when they see it? You told me yes.
Absolutely, they can.
They just ride down my street. They don't stop. That stuff will sit there, and I got witnesses. It'll sit there. I was headed out the other day, and as I came out U Lane, a code enforcement officer was sitting there in a car. He was sitting there. So I just rode on down the street, and I just sit and waited. Right down the street, there was a house that had 2 trucks and 4 cars, all in the front yard, that you could not see the grass at all. You don't see the grass because
Right.
it's a great big house that they done built. And he's got so many violations, and I can't tell you the address, but I know if they ride in my neighborhood, they know which house it is, because he done added on to it all. It's the biggest house in the neighborhood. All of that's in the front yard. And I stopped, pulled over, and watched to see if the code enforcement officer was going to stop and say something. Went right on past it. So what I did, I had a friend of mine to drive me, and I wrote down every violation I saw, and I had 32 of them that day. And I turned the 32 in. I got a couple of them that came back and said, well, that wasn't the right address. But somebody had a yard sale, had so much furniture and stuff sitting on the sidewalk, out on the sidewalk, and I put 3200, and it was 3202. Well, how are you going to pass that and not see it? And that's the problem that I have with codes.
Yeah.
They out there riding, but they don't stop. And here lately, I've had a lot of different foreigners move in my district. A lot of them. They have different cultures. They don't know, but they have clothes hanging on in the front yard on the grass. They putting in these big fences, metal fences, 6 foot. I just went to court about that. And then they doing businesses behind them. They got cars and everything. Now, man, I call Michael, I think his name is Wiltner.
Mike Wiltshire, yeah.
Yeah, about all of them. Nothing's being done. They still there. And it's just unbelievable that Catholic Charities bring a lot of these people in. Nobody's telling them what they're supposed to do in the neighborhood. I think the last time you guys were here, I gave y'all some of those pamphlets I had made in Spanish so they would know. It ain't working. Nothing's working. Yesterday, I had a semi-tractor trailer truck. They pulled all the way, they just moved in, they pulled all the way to the back of the house inside. And they had 2 trucks in the front yard. I turned it in. Now, they did come out, and they cited them, and when I got out there this morning, the truck was gone. That's another big thing I have in my neighborhood. There's semi-tractor trailer trucks everywhere. A lot of them, they bring them home. They don't get cited. They even bring in a big old truck with cars parked on, with all these cars on it. And I just think it's not fair for us to live like this, and we have code enforcement, and they not citing them, or either they give them 15 days. They need to give them 7 days to clean that place up. And I'm not trying to be mean, but after a while, you get so frustrated with it. You come out the door, you can't even go down the street, grass is this high, and somebody's not doing their job. I don't know who it is, somebody's not doing it. And we write it in, every time we get it, we write it in, and Mr. Smiley sends me something back. Well, this is complete. We gave them 15 days. Don't give them 15 days. Give them 7 days. It don't take that long to clean up no garbage. They should be able to clean that stuff up in 1 day. So that's where I'm really frustrated with what's going on. And of course, by the time you get to know them, in September, we get new ones. And they don't know the district. And they just ride right past whatever's out there, they ride past it. And so I don't like to be coming down on y'all, but when it's not done, they come down on me. They'll say, Councilwoman Schenkel ain't doing nothing. This place looks horrible around here. And that's what I get all the time. And I just don't think it's fair to us. Now, I don't know about any rest of you guys. I know Marcus probably don't have that kind of stuff in his neighborhood because he lives way out. And I don't know about Dan, you probably don't have it either. And then just last week, I told the council, we laughed about it. They brought in 3 pigs in the backyard. Then when we called it in, the guy said, well, they allowed to have 1 pig. And I've been talking to some out in your area. I've been talking to JJ now. They want to do something about these bringing them pigs. They slaughter animals in the backyard. Even Councilwoman Betsy, I can't think of what district, she says sometimes she finds the heads and pieces of where they slaughtered in the park. They put it in plastic and drop. It's really frustrating to us as council people that we cannot get anything done, and the neighborhood has really gone down. And I can bring pictures, but I said, well, I'm just going to tell it like it is. I'd rather you me tell it like it is than to call the mayor or whatever. But, when they start bringing in, well, they got chickens that just walk the streets. And I know you're supposed to have a chicken coop to put them chicken in. But nobody's citing them or saying anything about it. They just, have a guy that calls me almost every day. He said, I work 3rd shift and this person's chickens down the street are sitting on my front porch crowing every morning. Yeah. And what can I do? I said, I can't do anything. It's left up to me. I would cite everybody that I saw. But like I said, I did 32 that day. and it's a whole lot more. But I can say, the next day, Mr. Smiley had 3 or 4 cars in my neighborhood. I saw them riding, but they just give them too long to get it done,
Okay,
so.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for that. And listen, you're not getting on me, you're not getting on us. This is actually what we want. You know, I want to be measured. Tell me how we doing. If we're not getting it done, we got to go back. We got to get with our team. We got to make sure that we get these things done. One thing I would ask, though, when you, even, I know, Damon, he's a supervisor, and, he's very capable supervisor. I'm fine with him. But if you would, when you or Caleb send those things over, please copy myself, Mr. Crow in. I just like to be copied in on that so I can ensure that, we are doing the things that we need to do with proper, first of all, showing up and doing proper follow-up. I get out, when I get, complaints that I'm copied in on, whether it's from you all, from a citizen, somebody from a neighborhood, not only I make contact with Mr. Crow, Mr. Odell, or one of the supervisors, I go out myself and look at it and do the follow-up. So I'm very interested in it. We obviously have dropped the ball here, and I will look into these things, these 32 complaints, and I don't know, maybe we need a sweep, but I don't know. We will figure it out, and I do appreciate it.
If we could do a sweep and hit up a whole bunch, but see, one other thing is they know what time they get off. Most of the people in the area, they
Yeah.
know what time they get off. And on the weekends, it'll be so many cars in the parked in the front yard and all of that. I mean, it just destroys a neighborhood. It used to be a subdivision neighborhood where people lived and enjoyed.
Yeah.
Now you just can't even go down the street without a whole bunch of trash out front. We just passed another house and it's couches and everything laying out on the curb right now. And I said, Caleb, do we have time to get that address? He said, well, we'll get it on our way back. They don't care, and nobody makes them care. If you know you're not going to ever get punished for something you're doing, you're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah, that's true. And don't worry about the language barriers that happens out there, because we have resolved that with technology. So I don't, we are able, no matter what the language is, to communicate with people. So that's no excuse, and I will never use that as an excuse. But again, I appreciate this. I will definitely look into this. If you got some specific addresses, please send them to me. But the reality is, we got to get out there and get into that Newburgh community and see some of these things ourselves.
I mean, the addresses is okay sending them to you, but if you riding past and you
Yeah.
see it, what's wrong with just writing it down or either going up there and tell them they have to do it?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we should be doing. That's what proactive code enforcement is.
That's
Yeah,
what you told me
absolutely.
last year when I had you here.
Absolutely.
But like I said, in September, I got a new bunch, every
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many other council people do it, but I get out there and we'll ride.
Yeah.
And I'll say, look at this, We're
Yeah.
just trying to do our job and keep our neighborhoods clean.
No, I know. And it pains me. I feel horrible that I feel like that we have taken a step back in your community than a step forward. And that bothers me tremendously. And I promise we're going to get on. We're going to make improvements, look at what we're doing, see what we can do different, and ensure that we get these things taken care of. And I do apologize.
And I'm gonna give you just one address before I leave. I wrote
Okay.
it down before you leave. I don't want to say it on air. But
Okay.
I just want you to see all the trash and stuff that's in the backyard. And they went over there yesterday. That's where the couch is. And he went over there and talked to him. That's what he said on that. thing.
Absolutely.
Back.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman,
Yes,
Councilman
yes.
Simon.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I have a couple questions. What's the average time to correct a violation? If you go out and find somebody, there's a dump in the yard or trash, what's the average time they have to clean that up?
Trash, it's 7 days is what is the time. So if you don't get it done, complete the violation. Most of our violations have 7 days to do. Now, some may be a little longer if it's not been a nuisance, not life-threatening. We give the officers some autonomy to work with citizens if they need more time to get it done, to get it done. But just technically by rule, you got 7 days to get that completed, so we can do it.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example. The
Okay.
Brickyard in Fairdale.
Brickyard.
And somebody on codes evidently is on codes and their wife evidently works out there as head of security. And we have
You
violations.
said someone that works for Code's wife works there.
At the Brickyard for this
Okay.
company.
Okay?
And we have called and called and called about dumps and dumps. It's private property. We used to have cameras out there. They took the cameras because it is private property, and we're trying to get them to put cameras up, but they won't. They haven't done it yet. They won't respond to us. Now, they know that if we call on them and there's a dump there, that they've got 7 days to 2 weeks to clean it up. And this becomes a cycle. How many times are they told to clean it up? They might do it within a week or 2 weeks or whatever. When do we finally put some teeth to that and say, enough is enough, get it cleaned up now?
Well, it sounds to me if that's what's going on, then they'll become a nuisance, right? We won't, no,
The property is a nuisance, and I think that it is a nuisance, and we've done everything we can to work with them. We've sent codes after codes, and I'm trying to find out why we're not getting anything done there.
okay.
They will clean it up after we have hammered them, but we've got a million other things we're doing too, and we keep having to focus on this one area.
Yeah.
And it's got to stop. And these people, we've tried to work with them and help them, and it just doesn't. And so Codes needs to find a way to put a little more teeth into what they're doing.
Well, if there's a history there.
There's a history.
So if I come out and first time and I say, hey, you got to clean this trash up, and then give you 7 days to do it, and you get it done, and then I get another complaint, or I come out there, I see that there's much trash, you don't get another 7 days. No, what should happen is we proceed with a citation. We elevate the enforcement.
Well, see, they'll
from
clean
that.
it up, and then another dump will come. Now, and I'm not trying to beat them up, because if they're a victim too, in a way, but they are private property owners, and we've given them every opportunity to put cameras up, and we'll prosecute if you will help us, but they don't.
Okay. I'm gonna let.
It's been a problem ever since I've been in office.
Okay.
When I first got in office, it was a absolute mess.
Yeah.
But it continues, and it continues. So I'm just wondering, when do we finally, after we've called so many times, when you guys finally put some teeth and say, enough's enough? They know that they can get by 14 days. And another thing, if you guys are having a hard enough time counting how many vacant houses we've got, I'm sure you have a pretty hard time getting out there after 7 days, and the stuff just stays out there 14, 21 days, because they know that, that you guys, or they're being tipped off, I don't know. But I know it's not being done, and that's our gateway into Fairdale from Bullitt County, and it looks like a mess most of the time. And it's something that we need to work with.
Okay.
I have a 95-year-old gentleman that a neighbor called, and codes come out, and they cited the 95-year-old gentleman because his tree was dead and he had some siding. Do we have any programs? Do you refer these seniors to any program that would help them, or do they just get the citation? And now, we have had codes in the past call and say, we've got a gentleman that, we just don't want to write him up. Can you help him? But do we have any programs that you guys refer elderly people to instead of writing them up?
Yes, so first of all, we try to help as many citizens as we can, including seniors, for sure. Now, you said about a tree. Now, I don't know if we have any program specifically for a tree to be cut down, but any program that Louisville Metro has, or if there's something out there that we need to refer someone to, we absolutely do it. I don't know the specifics of this situation or why this guy was cited for a tree in his yard, but
It was dead. It was a dead tree, and he was cited, and I had to find a private person to donate to, and it cost a lot of money to have that big tree. But are there any can we refer these folks? I mean, he was given a citation, 95 years old.
Yeah. Well, you know, housing and community development, I thought that was only for violations that's actually on the structure of the property. But if they, you know, housing and community development, they have programs to help homeowners that have property maintenance issues that they can help them with.
Is that part of the protocol? Or is it something that we have to ask for?
No, it's part of the protocol for us as codes. If we know that we got a citizen that is having difficulty paying for this, and we know that housing has that program, we absolutely forward that to them.
Well, I just hope everybody's on the same page, because this 95-year-old man was given a citation for siding,
Yeah.
trash, and 95.
Well, the
And so,
siding.
but we had to go find somebody privately to donate time to help this one person, and we should be helping our elderly when it comes to that.
I totally agree with that, 100%.
I'll suspend for right now. Thank you, Ms. Chair, and thank you for the
No,
answers.
thank you. Thank you, sir. And we will definitely look into these. Again, no, I have myself been in the field, and I just had a 75-year-old individual that I referred him to ECAP, the ECAP program, the Coast Housing and Community Developments program that helps seniors, not just seniors, any person that cannot pay the fines for cannot abate the problems for their property.
Who determines that?
They
And how
got
do you
a- they got a
determine
pro-
that?
They got a program in housing. Laura Grabowski and her group, they run that program.
Well, with this fellow, he was given a citation. There was no asking, no programs, there was no helping the guy. He was given a citation. And I'm kind of thinking, now, I'm not saying it's like it is with you on board now, and I know things have changed since you've been on, but that's not been the case.
Okay, well,
That's not been the case. There's been no services offered or anything. They wrote him up.
but that should have been the case. And so
And
we
I
may have
hope
missed.
that- and
we
that's
may have
why I'm
missed
having this
one, but-
conversation.
But that is part of our protocol.
One of the things too, a colleague asked me, codes and zone officers, are you guys on the same page when it comes to working things out in the community? Or
Absolutely.
you're not fighting with each other? Or-
No. Zoning is part of codes and regulations
Right.
now. So no, we're on the same page, or should be on the same page, working together, for sure.
Okay. One more question, and I will say too that my assistant, Lisa Ammon, says you guys do well following up on complaints, and she does. Thank you for that, and I thank you for that. And what do you need from us as a committee? What do you need from us to help you in your job and what you're doing?
Well, I think you're doing it. I think you need to, bring these things to our attention, because this is not who we are and who we're going to be. We need to be consistent. We need to be following the plan and the vision that I've laid out for this department. Now, we got, obviously, there's going to be times we're going to miss the mark. We're going to drop the ball. What I need for you all is to let us know. And it's a simple email. Myself or Mr. Crow or Mr. Henderson, copy us in. When you are talking to our officers and and you feel like we're not providing the service that we need, let us know. And we can get there. I think we have what we need to do the job that, based on the mission that I've set out. But we just got to get people walking by the same drumbeat. And we got to, ourselves as leaders, got to do the proper follow-up to ensure that they're doing that.
Okay, one more question, please. One more situation then. And I'm personally invested in this situation, so
Yes,
I know
sir.
what I'm talking about.
Okay?
Guy's got multiple cars, multiple RVs. We've called multiple times. They know the vehicles are there. They know the RVs are there. These are foreign actors, yet they're still there. When you know that you have multiple vehicles in a lot that are not supposed to be there, do they get 7 days, 14 days? Do you go in and remove them if they haven't been removed in 7 or 14 days? Why are they still allowed to be there?
Well, they shouldn't allow to be there. They should not. And again, I got to find out why. I mean, if they're there and they are illegally parked vehicles, or vehicles not supposed to be there, our officers should cite it, and get those vehicles towed and moved.
How long does it take to tow a vehicle after they've been cited? How long do you
What's
give
the
them?
average time? It could be 15 days. About 15 days. Because we got to work in conjunction with the tow.
This is
company.
months.
Yeah, well, that's unacceptable.
And I remember we had a meeting with codes one time, because we have a big situation on National Turnpike, Outer Loop, with foreign actors and junkyards. And the officer said, well, it's just out of control. And I said, well, aren't we the controllers? Aren't you the controllers?
That was one of our officers said?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And it's gotten out of control, and that's unacceptable,
Yeah.
when we're the controllers.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And so what area you're talking about with these RVs and cars? You have a specific address? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll just,
I'll have my
when we get off
assistant
plan,
remind
please
you.
do. Please do, send them to me. And, yeah, but that's
It's not just
unacceptable.
them. I mean, we have it all over this. It's happening all over the South End like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
These pop-up junkyards, we're having to address them, and these people know they can get by with however many days, or it might not even be nobody come back for months.
Yeah.
And that is absolute truth.
Okay, well,
And so we'll get you that there, but I mean, that is an issue when it comes to follow-up. And if you say you're going to do something, do it. These people know they can get away with it.
Absolutely.
And I'm not trying to bash anybody from wherever they come from, but we have order around here. And these guys are putting pop-up junkyards all over the South End,
Yeah.
especially on National Turnpike.
Okay.
And it's been hard trying to get that area cleaned up from these bad actors. And we're supposed to be the ones that control that stuff, and we're not doing it.
okay.
So, but thank you for the work you're doing.
We'll get
I'm not here to beat on you, but
No, and I
those
don't
are
feel-
issues that we're having to deal with.
I don't feel you're beating on me. Look, we will get it cleaned up. I
Thank you,
promise
Mr. Chair.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Marcus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Price, thanks for being here. I hate
Absolutely.
to get us off theme.
Thanks
but
for having me.
As Councilman Shanklin indicated, I've had a little bit of a different experience with codes and want to thank you and your team. We had a couple of issues that you all have worked on for us and been extremely responsive and followed up repeatedly, which we greatly appreciate. I do think, your team is sort of one of the most visible aspects of Metro government in terms of addressing issues that our constituents see.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think, the thing that while people, hear about crime, right? I think most of what they experience from a nuisance perspective are going to be the things that fall under codes and regs, and really appreciate all of the enforcement work that you all do.
Thank you.
Both from public nuisance to property maintenance to zoning enforcement and all of those sorts of things. My question for you, and I think this goes a little bit to Councilwoman Shanklin's question about the couch that she referenced, is can you talk a little bit about your approach in terms of balancing a complaint-driven model versus a proactive model? I know, under previous administration, the entire focus of codes was a complaint-only driven model, and I'm curious sort of how you approach complaints versus proactively looking for opportunities to drive improvement, and whether that's a percentage split of an officer's time, or if you could just speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. And I will say again, as I've said before, complaint-driven code enforcement does not work. It's old school, it doesn't work, it's hard and difficult to follow up on. What we need, and what I'm trying to get my team to do, and I think, so far we're off to a good start, is looking at the data. Okay, we got complaints coming in to 311. We have all this data in a cellar that we have before us. We see where the problems are. So what my strategy is that we gather this data, we devise a plan, a strategy to abate it, based on the data that we have looked at. Because when I see the data, then I see the complaints, it fits. It absolutely fits. So as in Madam Chair's area, a lot of the data shows that we have a lot of people from, other countries moving there. They may not know. Okay, yes, we should go abate those violations. But the bigger for me is we got to educate people because they don't know. Yeah, should they know? Yes. But in most cases, they don't. So we try to do things like that. Then we try to do sweeps. So if we got the data showing that this is a constant recurring problem, and it's hard, here's where it gets difficult. It gets difficult to take single issues that are glaring, that, as Councilman Simon just said about this one thing with the 95-year-old gentleman, that don't happen every day. Those things will stick out and make us look horrible. But I see those instances like that more of, it's not the norm. We just don't get those all the time, and those may get dropped. But we look at the data from a holistic and a broader standpoint, and we try to target that. Is the way we try to do it.
Yeah, thank you. One issue that one of our colleagues has talked about for an extended period of time, I mean, for many years, is dealing with abandoned car issues that are just left on the road. Does that fall under your jurisdiction, and what are we doing? I think we rely on LMPD to do those tows, if I'm not mistaken. But can you speak a little bit about, the challenge that we have with abandoned vehicles? I think that is one of the things that people notice more than anything. And my concern is that we've been unable to materially solve that problem, at least for as long as I've been here. And I'm curious what your efforts are there and how we can get that solved once and for all.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. If you look, I didn't bring that data with me, but we have improved tremendously from before I came to Codes to where we are now with towing vehicles. We are towing vehicles. Now, when you look at the ordinance, Codes and Regulations is responsible for vehicles unoperable, vehicles without tags, that's on the property. Metro LMPD is responsible for vehicles that are on the street in the right-of-way, okay? So what we've done, and we know it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. But I think we're doing a good work right now to abate it because what Chief Humphrey has done for us, so we can help LMPD and LMPD help us, we signed a memorandum giving us the authority to enforce what LMPD does with cars on the street. So we can essentially get them done on the street and on the property, which is going to be a big help. And I think when we look at this thing, maybe 6 months to a year now, I think you're going to see a huge difference with abandoned vehicles.
Yeah, thank you. I am very happy to hear about that memorandum, and I think that will be a huge help because I know it's one of the capacity constraints we have with LMPD. Understandably, they've got other challenges that they're dealing with, and if Codes can help on that front, I'm very heartened to hear that and look forward, 6 months down the line of hearing the success that you're having.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam.
And here's the problem, and I'll just call it out because I believe in transparency. I believe in owning when you know what the problem is. When I look at abandoned vehicles or vehicles that need to be towed on properties, see, I get out and I don't sit at my desk. I ride around this city, and I see them, and I say the same question you just asked me. Why aren't we taking care of this? If I see it, my officers got to see it. The question is, why are we not doing it? That's the problem for me that I must and I will solve so we can get these things done, because it's a huge problem.
Someone out in District 22 had a problem, and they accidentally sent the email to me, and it said, and I still have the email, it said, the guy that's getting a complaint, he's gonna have to pay $500 for something that he did not do. And evidently it ran, he owned the house in another area, and something he didn't do. So in the email, he says, well, I want to meet with you. He was talking to the code enforcement officer. And he said, I know him, and he'll take care of it for me, because I'm not paying that money. And so I sent the email. I said, well, when you have that meeting, I'm going to be there too. And I called the council person and said, why is it you got two districts that you working back and forth with, two council people? But he said, well, the other council person didn't do anything, but he wants me to take care of it for him. So, and then I had another person that was parking in the front door, and he owns quite a few houses. I know you probably know him. And he got cited for having all these cars, and he said the same thing. Oh, I know the code enforcement, he gonna take care of it. I ain't paying nothing. They gonna take care of that for me. So, I don't know. I think a lot of these people that own these houses, when they get fined, they done got too familiar with the code enforcement officers, and they asking them, so it's no discipline, no nothing. They just, if they do something, they get caught, or I'll go get him to take care of it for me. And I talked to the one guy, and I talked to both of them, because I'm bold enough to call them and say, hey, I read that, and, and they never had that meeting. If they did, they didn't let me get in on the meeting
Yeah.
after $500. So I don't know what's going on, but, I could show you the email, and it did happen, and it happened out in the East End area. And so,
Okay.
but
Well, I
I
can't,
just want, my biggest thing is, now I've worked with Mr. Henderson before, we get along well. I've worked with Crow, we get along well. And it's not that I like beating up, but my district has gone down so much. And I know it's because we got all of these different nationalities, they don't know. But the bad part is, I could sit here all day and tell you about a different one. A house down the street, it doesn't have no wheels on it, been sitting there forever. And they ride right past it. And that's what bothers me. Come on, I have to do my job. If I don't, they're not gonna put me back in office. They voting against me, So I just want to, if you would just get them, if they see these violations, that would help a lot.
yes, absolutely. And let me go back to what you was talking about with this meeting that was supposed to happen and the code enforcement taking care of it. If they have that meeting, please get me invited, because I want to be there too.
But they didn't invite you.
Because, listen, I can't speak to that, because that's not who we are.
Right.
And if we got officers going rogue to that degree, then I need to find out about it. Because that's not, we don't make deals with nobody. We enforce the ordinance, okay? Do we help people? Yes. We try to help everyone to come into compliance, and it doesn't matter if it's a council person that owns property or whoever. From where I said, we enforce the law.
Right.
But we are here to be a partner with individuals, but that's not who we are. And I would like to know who those officers are so we can deal with that. But I guess that I got a lot more work to do internally to deal with things like that.
Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I do have the email. I saved it, and I just want to say to you, even if you just talk to the guys about that.
I will.
Because, this is what's happening. Oh, they'll take care of it. I've known them a long time. But see, I've had this one guy in my district, he owns a whole bunch of the houses. He's a slumlord, and he knows how to get out of it. So I just appreciate that help.
Absolutely.
But anyway, and I just want to say one more thing, and I'm finished. Everybody else had their comment. Their comments was clairvoyant. I started that some years back.
Okay.
I had my aide. He went out of town, and they were doing it in another city. And I got with Laura. They gave me $350,000 to try it out in the West End. And, because see, Laura and I worked together with housing. And we tried it out, and the first house that we did was on 26th and Market, sitting on the corner. went down there and it was an article in the paper, but, so I know about clairvoyant because
Yeah.
my aide, he's no longer with me. He was the one that brought that here.
Yeah.
And finally was able to talk to the mayor and Laura about, trying it out. And it worked, and they still doing it. But it
Absolutely.
makes-
I didn't know that. Didn't know
yeah,
that. That's
well,
good
you can
information.
ask Laura, because I work with Laura up there. But the thing is, the clairvoyant makes a big difference in the neighborhood. You don't
Mm-hmm.
see that wood on the neighborhood, and they can take that wood off. We went down there, and we had hammers and things, and they had it clear, and we beat on it with hammers and everything, and could not break into the empty house that was sitting there. And I noticed, I went down to the West End, and they've sold that house now. Somebody is actually living in it. But it was a mess back in that day, and they were still in the copper and all that out of it, so.
Absolutely. Well,
So-
that's good information. Thank you. And clipboarding does work for sure. And that's why we trudging forward to do that, for sure.
Right, so, who's in the queue? Oh, Councilwoman Hawkins?
I think that you are doing a phenomenal job, you and your team. And I want to say this, just for full transparency: a set of lips to say anything. I've had people to say, "Well, oh yeah, Coles is going, I ain't worried about it." They just say it just to be saying it a lot of times, as what I have found. I am a firm believer that Coles don't got no picks at all. My colleague Shamika Press Wright has said it. I've said it. As council members, like, you know, I be feeling like sometimes we be getting targeted. Y'all don't even give us no pass. So I'm trying to figure out the passes is getting past that. Pass me the ball. If it's some passes being given out. But yeah, so I think that I do agree with what you said, that as far as getting help, if somebody needs some help, you all do that. But as far as you guys come back, you guys follow up. For me, it's as a property owner, what do you do as a property owner when codes continuously comes to cite the property? Two different things. One, you have a lot of developers, when they want the property, they contact codes multiple times, just to try to get codes to go out to site. Um, and like, I know, Richard, you can't keep your eyes everywhere, but that's what's going on. And it doesn't look like that that codes isn't I forgot the word that you used when I called you about that. But of course, when I called, they was like, well, somebody called complaint driven.
Yeah.
That's the word that I believe that you used. I know that you said that it wasn't complaint driven, but I don't think that there's no way that you can really identify whether if it's complaint driven or not. I think a lot of these calls, for a lot of the areas that I, cover, is complaint driven from a lot of developers that want a lot of these properties to get fined, to get cited. So of course, once a home, we know if a home, we don't want houses to be there that need to be torn down, or that the gutters is falling and things like that. But at the same time, how do you different, whether it's complaint driven or it's not? I don't really think that we can identify that, because I am a firm believer that developers do call and try to get fines on properties. That's one. And then the squatters. Um, I do believe that the sheriff department got a new law coming in to where they can come in and get squatters out at a fee of $20 or something like that. But you get these clearboarding, you get boards, whatever people, property owners get to protect their properties in the event of, getting work done. You have squatters that come in. You have people, children that come in. They've been stashing guns. Richard, I've worked with codes about that. House clearboarded up. They got in, stashed their guns. run from the police. The youth, they'll be in these homes. You know, property owner finds out, goes over there. You know, like what do you do when you do have property? Codes are doing their job, coming in, citing the property, but you still have the youth that goes in there, and you still have squatters that go in there. What do you do for those property owners? What do you do to protect them? Even if they're going out, they're keeping up with their properties, or if they're workers, it's coming out like, hey, we just came back here, and your property's been vandalized. Well, it puts them behind, right? And all of this can't go hand in hand with what the mayor's initiative is with needing affordable housing, right? Because as soon as you get these properties started going, you got between the squatters, the youth, and codes that, you feel like I'm being hit in all different ways, So what do we also do for the property owners as well?
Well, one thing that I think we need to do, and we got to see this thing with the property owner and codes and regulations as a partnership, okay? And if we can sit down and talk, if you own a property, or you're a developer and you own the properties and you've done everything you can to abate code violations, and you got squatters, you got other people, then we just got to sit down as a plan and come up with a plan to help with that. We don't want to cite anyone, we just want compliance. And sometimes we have, more times than not, we got owners that wants us to do all the work instead of them partnering with us to help them get the work done. Sometimes we got to do more. We need the whole house clearboarded. Sometimes we need to put up cameras. And all of this just cannot be on Metro government to do. We need property owners to step up and work with us. So I think if we would engage more, I think we can resolve some of the problems for the property owners, and we can help them keep those things out of their properties. And then it's a multi-departmental issue. It's just not codes. We need housing and community development to help us with the ECAP program, to help homeowners and property owners to get their properties fixed. It's the health department to do their job. It's public works to work out, like Councilman Sine talked about the tree issue. That may have been more of a public works issue that we could have. So we need to work together. And it's just not codes getting this done from a broader sense. It's multi-departmental, and it's also partnered with citizens and neighborhood association to get these things done.
I want to say that, I listen to Councilwoman Hawkins, but our districts are different. Her
Yes,
district
it
is
is.
one way, mine is another way. My area is they're dumping a lot of immigrants and things in the Catholic charities,
Yeah.
and they don't know. And then on top of that, I don't know if it's that they don't understand, but they refuse to go back and do it.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about data-driven. So in your district, you just stated and the data will show that. Your district, Councilman, you have these auto shops, illegal auto shops, and abandoned vehicles, and all of that. We got to look at that data, and we got to approach it from that standpoint. I'm not saying we should turn away from the general day-to-day gutters and a paper and stuff like that, but we got to look at the data and see what the issue is within that district, and then attack it from that standpoint, and not just wait for the complaint to come through. Because if you taking a position that, I sent in 32 of these and nothing's been done, and I don't know, I would have to go look at them. I would find it hard to believe that we have not done some type of visit out there. Now, that is a problem with officers maybe sitting there or passing up and not doing it. But when officers are complaint-driven, when they're complaint-driven, they're going to go straight to that complaint. And they may pass up these violations that they may not be looking for. Not saying they should, But again, that's why we got to get into data-driven, proactive code enforcement is what's going to resolve a lot of these issues once we get that train truly steamed up and moving down the tracks.
And the reason why I brought it up, because these things are so, I mean, you can't miss them.
Yeah,
And as far as somebody's gutters or something like that, I would never turn somebody in for any of those things. The only thing I'll turn them in for, if the grass is up to your hips,
yes,
and there's cars that's sitting there that's been on blocks for months,
yeah,
and on my street, you can go right through. Now, I see these guys every time they out there, because they come through there and they come through. And I can't say that out of those 32 that I turned in, that they didn't come, because the next day, I saw 4 cars riding through there. So
Yeah.
I knew they came out, and they got a bunch of them.
yeah,
But there was a lot of them that I shouldn't have had to ride around, because you can see them.
that's
I
correct.
mean, you just have to ride out there one day,
Yeah,
and you'll see for yourself. They're starting their businesses in the backyard. I call Mike Wilkner so much, he knows, because they put those fences that's real high, and they sell cars behind them. I just went to court last Monday with this, but the lady had already put this huge fence around this house, and they were going to start a business, but code cited them because the fence was too high. So she went to court to be able to go ahead and get it in there. And it was loud blue. They have a tendency to paint them blue or red or whatever. And so we lost because the fence was already up, and we couldn't make her take it down. But I did tell her, I said, that big blue, royal blue fence, it's metal, and it's real high. And I told her, I said, that just destroys the neighborhood. It really looks bad. So she was Hispanic, because she couldn't speak English. She said, would you be okay if I painted it white? I said, no problem. You paint it white, we'll be okay with the fence, because it won't stand out like that. I came down the street the other day, and she's painted that fence white, and she got one more small piece, because we couldn't talk to each other because we don't speak the same language.
yeah,
But we're just trying to clean up the neighborhood. That's all I want. If we
Yeah.
can get rid of some of that selling cars in the front yard, and like I said, that's Mike Welchner, and I've been dealing with him. But they've been bringing cars in, selling them in the yard and all that. It's not fair to the people that live there and pay for their houses and been there 50 years or more,
Yeah.
that we're allowing people to come in and destroy it. So that's why I say, if you see it, please say something.
yeah. Yeah, we need people to say something. What, again, I hear exactly what you're saying, and, hopefully we can do better.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna get
hope
right
so.
on it, and we'll see. I'm sure we're gonna do better with this, for
I
sure.
appreciate that, because I do have Caleb, he'll send something in every time, somebody calls us, we'll send it in. And normally I get that Damon Smiley, will send something back and say, I took care of it or whatever.
Yeah,
But the other day with that couch, that was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sit out there, so. But we are adjourned. So we don't
okay.
have anything
Well, thank
else.
you. Can I say
And I
thank you
appreciate
for
you
having me?
guys
And I
coming.
appreciate you all. I needed this, I need to hear this, and we'll see what happens, okay?
Okay, and I'm gonna give
Thank
you
you.
this address that we've sent. If you look at your records, you're gonna find that they've been there 1,000 times. And he's the couch man, and plus he got so much in his backyard. I don't know where he's getting all that stuff. He's selling it. But